Imagine waking up in a world where the air itself feels wrong, where the shadows move when you're not looking, and the only light comes from the hollow eyes of something hunting you. This isn't just a nightmare, it's Reanimal. And trust me, you don't want to be alone when you play it. Hi there, my Blood Moon Pack, Sokane here. Today, I want to talk about a game that's been haunting my thoughts. Literally. Reanimal, the latest horror adventure from the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. If you love those games, you're in for something familiar, yet terrifyingly fresh. So first off, the story is hard to grasp at first. It's really cryptic, layered, and honestly, I'm still piecing it together and trying to figure out what the hell I went through. But that is kind of part of the charm. You play as a brother and sister, navigating a nightmarish world to save your friends. Bandage, Hood, and Bucket. Yes, those are their names. Weird, right? I thought they'd have better names than the girl, the boy, Bandage, Hood, and Bucket. But if you look at them, it makes sense. The game leans heavily into occult themes, and there are even parts that remind me of The Ring, which is my favorite and my first ever horror movie I ever watched, and it terrified the shit out of me. So, pretty cool. It seems to be based on or in a possibly different type of world than Little Nightmares, but like has the same feel, kind of like there's some war or something going on, a very dark themed world. Little Nightmares had that too, but their world we figured out later on was called the Nowhere, and there was more into that you could figure out the longer the games had been out. The visuals of this game are unsettling. The sound design is very immersive. Every creak, whisper, and distant scream pulls you closer into this twisted world. And can we talk about the enemies? The Sniffer. Oh my god. The Sniffer. First of all, that name. He teleports through dead bodies with giant holes in them and is hands down the creepiest enemy in the game. Like, I don't like him. I don't like him. And not only does he teleport through the dead bodies, he also has a bunch of skin suits that I can only assume he wears or uses for something. He might even control them in parts of the game that you see them, because they do move on their own. It's disgusting. Very grotesque and creepy. And I couldn't even look away even though he was really creepy. He seemingly uses the dead bodies to teleport through as a way to make more skin suits for himself. He looks like he washes them, drains them, and hangs them out to dry. There's literally several parts of the game where they're just hanging out of things on tree branches. Literally, he washes them, he irons them, and hangs them out to dry like clothes. It's disturbing. The other fact that I really loved is there was voice lines. I did not expect that.
Why did you come back for us?
I did play the demo, and the very first part of the demo is basically the beginning of the game, and I did not expect there to be voice lines, but when there were, that part was so cool. And I think it's mostly because the other Little Nightmares games didn't have actual voice lines. In Little Nightmares 2, you could yell hey as mono if you were talking to Six, but that was about it. There was no actual voice lines between the characters. It was all kind of just visual, where, you know, like Mono and Six would hold hands, or in the first one, Six would just be going about the world doing her thing, and if, you know, an enemy saw you or whatever, it was kind of just a noise. It wasn't really words, and there were no actual voice lines at all in 1. And in 2, it was literally just Mono yelling hey. So I thought that little added part was just extra bit to the game. Reanimal feels like a spiritual successor to Little Nightmares, but it carves out its own identity. The atmosphere is heavier, the stakes feel higher, and the horror is more visceral. It's not just about running and hiding, it's about surviving a descent into hell, both literally and metaphorically. However, the puzzles were not super difficult, but like the little bosses felt very Little Nightmares. However, I did get a little frustrated at points with not really understanding what to do or where to go. However, that is very Little Nightmares coded, and I think that's just how it's meant to be. Tarsier knows how they like things, and they make you use your brain. The part with the tank was really cool. Super, super cool. The fact that you got to drive a tank as little kids to get where we needed to be was really innovative and fun. Very disturbing way commandeering said tank. But this is a horror game. However, the random inverted controls during the boss fight with the tank were very frustrating for me. My brain can't seem to grasp the concept of inverted controls, so it made that part just that much harder for me. And it wasn't really that difficult. Mechanics wise, you kind of just had to drive and shoot, but because the controls randomly inverted, I had some issues with that part, but that's all on me and not on the game. Regarding gameplay, it played pretty well for me, and I don't think I had any issues. There weren't any game-breaking bugs at the very least. My title screen did have this like weird flickering that I don't think was like meant to be happening. I don't think that was part of the game, and in the actual game, nothing happened. It was harmless and did nothing to my gameplay whatsoever. If you're a fan of psychological horror, occult themes, and games that leave you questioning everything, Reanimal is a must-play. It's not perfect, it's confusing, it's dark, and it's brutal. But that's what makes it so unforgettable. Just maybe don't play it alone at night. I would say that I will give it a 6 out of 10 for blood seal of approval. I don't think it was the most amazing game, but it also wasn't terrible. Kind of right in the middle for me there, just with... Mostly because I feel like games should be able to storytell enough that everyone that plays it can understand what's happening, or at least get some sort of grasp. And I feel like I'm still very much missing what happened in the game. Let me know in the comments, what did you guys think of Reanimal? Did it unsettle you as much as it unsettled me? What was your favorite enemy? For me, it was definitely the sniffer. Creepy dude. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next nightmare. Stay spooky.